everyone. I've been so looking forward to this interview with Chad Wolf. He is a musician and the lead vocalist behind Carolina Liar. I would love for you, Chad, to tell us about your background and your connection to the arts.
Yeah, nice to be here with you this morning.
Thank
Um,
you.
my background with the arts, I've been in the music business for, my God, since I was 18. Um, and it has always been one of those things as a matter of survival to stay with like creating art and trying to create something that has some sort of sense of integrity of self. Um, so I got a job and I moved to Los Angeles. They were mid 90s. And I've been out here just working on helping myself create art and other people any way that I possibly can. I collaborate with as many people as I can possibly get in a room with. I've had the band, I started the band Carolina Liar probably 2006. And it's been like finding some interesting paths since then. It's taken me around the world a couple of times. Um, and as far as like arts go, I grew up in a house. My sister was an artist. Still, everybody's always been really super creative. So there's always been this sense of creativity around. And I think I was probably the only one that was kind of crazy enough to pursue it as something to live in that space. And so art has always been something that has absolutely permeated every ounce of who I've been, for better or worse. I think you've probably been the same too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like you've hit ultimate highs though. Like I know in I looked it up 2009, your song Show Me What You're Looking For was like platinum certified single, which is a
Yeah.
huge deal. And so I know we've talked in person about kind of the phrase hungry artist and how like as musicians and visual artists or any kind of creator pursuing their art, you have to like continue to have that drive and hunger and determination because just your talent alone won't just have you be successful forever. So you've had ultimate highs and then you've kind of seen it all. So I would love for you to tell me kind of your journey as a hungry artist, specifically with that song Show Me What You're Looking
Mm.
For. Hmm.
Well, it's funny that song. It's one of those ones that it came rather quickly, and we didn't think that it would actually be a song that would be a hit. The record label, it was Greg Coleman, who decided at Atlantic Records, was like, this is going to be the one that's going to be the song that's going to break this band. And that record was recorded with a producer named Max Martin, Tobias Carlson, and a gentleman by the name of Shellback. Tobias and I actually rewrote the thing, and it took us to Sweden. And then it, can't remember if it got licensed. It did get licensed pretty early for a television show called The Hills. It was an MTV show.
Hmm.
And from that song basically just sent us on the road. And before then, I mean, I didn't have anything as far as like, I mean, I had jobs, but not real income. It was always kind of a starving artist kind of philosophy. That song hit really hard. The record label gave us a lot of money and they spent a fortune on promoting that thing. And so we stayed on the road, and that record kept us on the road until about 2012, I think was the last tour that we did. And it literally, it changed everything, but the journey of that song, like how it found people, was kind of amazing. It was really more about the non-traditional way. It did have radio success,
Hmm.
but then we licensed it a lot for television and film and all these just random places that would inevitably keep us going. And it's kind of, I think it's a precursor to where some of what Web3 is becoming, like how a piece of art like that can live in so many different spaces, and why it kind of, it created something emotional in people. And then throughout those years, at one point in time, I got a divorce. I lost everything that I owned. Basically was homeless for quite a while, a good 6 or 7 months off and on. Lost everything, but still in that time frame, I was still making music, trying to be an artist. I had another band called Federal Empire that was starting to get a lot of interest, and so there was some money to be made. We were starting to license and do more kind of, Spotify stuff with that. But then Show Me was still kind of working in the background, and there's a YouTube artist, David Dobrik, and he found the song and he gave it basically to a whole new generation of kids, or people that are not necessarily kids, because that world is much broader than just kids, but people who are really into the space of what YouTube became. And he started doing really good work with the song. Every time he would give a car away or help somebody out of some sort of situation, he would use the song as this kind of emotional thing, kind of similar to what happened in, you know, with television shows and stuff. But then he gave the song to all of these people to show them how to create an emotional scene with their footage, like how you can bring something else out. And that was another kind of interesting piece of art that kind of helped create even more of the emotion. And he taught a whole new generation of people about the song. And literally about, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we got it certified, really because of David and how he's driven everything. The song went platinum again throughout this year. So it's gone platinum in the last year or so, again, on top of what it did back in 2009. And so it's on this other trajectory. And it's so fascinating to watch, like where it's showing up now, like the places and how people use it, the TikTok campaigns that people use with it. And it kind of goes to show, like, when I worked for this songwriter, Diane Warren, when I first moved to LA, and she had this really cool philosophy of never putting a date on any of the music that we sent to anybody, ever. She's like, don't ever date any of the songs. And it's like, why? She's like, because it's a piece of art. And if you tell somebody when something was made, if they have this timestamp about it, it gets lost in something that can either be old or new. And I think now we're kind of discovering like how these pieces, like something like Show Me, can live in a brand new space, or some of this art that you're working on now with something like what Hungry is doing. It's like, these are new venues that this stuff can live. So whatever you're working on as far as art goes, just keep creating, because you never know when that one piece might be the thing that ends up changing your life or changing somebody else's life. I mean, it is a service business that we're in, you know. Ultimately it's about, sure, it does serve you to like get your emotions out and to be able to be creative, but the other side is how this music and how or your art can be beneficial to somebody else. And that's, to me, my hands are off, just like what you were saying earlier. Like, this is amazing. This thing, this idea, it creates energy, and from that energy, it really comes to life in ways you never could have conceptualized.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know?
It's bonkers. Yeah.
Right?
When I heard Show Me What You're Looking For, like it really is one of those songs that just stays in your head. It's like there's like some kind of crack in that song that like literally
there,
the next day you're still singing it, it's still in your head. It really, really like resonates and just stays, you know. But I think what you were saying about not having a timeline or a timestamp, it's just like art is forever and it should be timeless. Same thing with music or any kind of art somebody creates. And it reminds me, as you were talking about that song from Kate Bush on Stranger Things.
Oh my God.
Like,
right?
I didn't know who she was actually before, but
Really?
everybody said after they played her song on the recent Stranger Things, all of a sudden her like plays and hits just went up. And it just shows that a good song is a good song, whether it was back in 2009 or 2022. And like, you've done it, Kate Bush has done it with Running Up the Hill. Like, I think it's like really so refreshing to see that. And your story, like when I saw that video of you in David Dobrik's YouTube, and then he brought that song back, and then he gifted you that car. I literally was put to tears. I was like happy tears crying, because now I know you, and I'm like, Chad, that is so moving. Like really, really, like an amazing story.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the fact that this stuff is just like, and if you get out of the way of it, I've come to realize, like, as long as you just do what you're supposed to do, and if you can figure out how to shut your mind off and just allow these things to be, like, you've put it in the universe, stop thinking you're bigger than the universe to do its job. Just get out of the way.
Yeah.
And magic can happen.
Yeah.
You know?
I always think we're just like vessels or like a channel for art to kind of go through us. And it's so true. If you get out of the way and you just let art do its thing, then like something magical could happen. So I think it's really interesting. And
you know, it's interesting when you think about it that way, if you place it and you think about hungry in two different ways. Like, so you're hungry for art, you're asking for it. Yeah. And you stay in that path, you really do create a flow system. Like you are that vessel, and it's like it's feeding you from the universe as long as you feed it back. And
Yes, yes.
you know,
For sure. And I think that's the other thing. Somebody can't think you feed it once and you're done. Like you
no,
need
no,
breakfast,
you got
lunch,
to
and
do the
dinner,
work.
and you need to continue to feed it. So it's like we can't just think like I've had one hit or like I've had one major sale and it's done. It's a continuing thing. That's why the artist's life and path is not the easy one, but it's so fulfilling. And to be kind of chosen by art to be the one that could be the vessel or the channel, that's a
Yeah.
gift. It's a gift,
It is. It's an amazing responsibility. You think about people who are brave enough to put their art out there and to
Oh
take
yeah.
the ridicule and to do it and to be like shunned and the family just
You're
like,
so vulnerable.
you
Yeah.
know, you're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing with your life choices? I taught you better than this. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's something bigger than what you're telling me. Just trust me. And
Yeah.
eventually you get it right.
Right, right. And so I
So,
bet like your family, when they saw your success for Show Me, they must have been like, wow, I'm glad you went for it. But of
oh
course, it's
yeah,
like you have to continue to go for it. You can't just one and done. So
no,
your journey is such an amazing story. I love
I
that.
wish it could be one and done. Wouldn't that be fun? And
Oh,
then
that
just
would
be
be
like,
so
okay, cool,
easy.
we're done. I'm out.
Yeah, yeah.
Go to your country now.
That would make life so much easier. For sure. Um, so my third question is going
Huh?
to the Exquisite collabs that we worked on together for
Yeah.
Hungry Artists. And it's crazy because I do believe sometimes if you have an idea and you don't tell the universe, you're never going to get it. So
Yeah.
like I remember I asked a friend thinking, like one day I was listening to Lou Reed's song Vicious, and I was like, oh my God, if somebody could create a song similar to this, but instead of saying vicious, say like hungry. And I'm like, I'm not a musician. That sounds ridiculous. If I even say this out loud, somebody's going to be like, you have crazy ideas. But I said it because I needed to put it out in the universe. And the fact that somebody heard it. And then when Jen heard it, she goes, I have the perfect person who could make that happen. And I was like, no way. And so then we went to dinner, the three of us.
Yeah.
And I told you like the idea, you loved the idea. You understood what it meant to be hungry and a hungry artist. And then you said, give me 2 weeks, I'll run with it. Tell me about how you created that song, like what was going through your head. And then we can also talk about the visual side after that.
Yeah, well, the song it was really just kind of listening to you talk. And then, strangely enough, it is kind of like we had such a nice evening, but then getting to like ride in the car with you and be in your space for a minute, like see your children and your family and all of that in there. And it's like, okay, cool. I can feel something here. And so we just went home and listened to the song. I got into it and just kind of thought about that night, just kind of kept living in that space with it. Mm-hmm. And just kept trying to understand kind of at that point, like, okay, what is this Lou Reed energy here? Like what's happening here? Like, how do you kind of capture it? And I guess it's kind of like acting in a way or dance. I guess maybe even more like dancing, I guess is a better way to play it. Mm-hmm. You get into it and you just kind of, you dance with the song. Like you have to feel it emotionally. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of went with that and just took like exactly what you said but I was trying to say it in my head the way that you were saying it to see if I could channel it through. And we got a really cool scratch on it. And I really love the fact that you're like, no, this is what we created was just something kind of just straight off the cuff. And it's just the raw thing. There's not like a lot of refinement to this or anything. This is just the idea. You're like, no, I love that. To me, that's like my favorite. You don't know how many times I've turned in songs to the record labels or to publishers and they're like, and I love the demo. And it's been like this raw thing that we caught. There's a moment. Yeah. And then you send it to them and they're like, okay, we're going to produce it and take it to this and that. And then it's like, the energy's not right. It's not the same thing anymore. Mm-hmm. And this is just kind of the fact that we got to do that in Laurel Canyon based off of this restaurant where, Morrison used to live across the street and all of this like stuff. It's all in there. The energy is right.
Yes, I agree. Because then like you created even the visuals for that NFT, not only the song that was like embedded into all 12 of the Exquisite collabs, but like you created the art right there at the restaurant. And like, just to kind of paint the picture for everyone about the restaurant, Pache on Laurel Canyon, like it was my first time going to that restaurant and you guys were telling me the music history behind the restaurant and you could feel it the second you step in. There's artwork that's plastered all over the walls with the kind of like placeholder table table setting
Yeah.
that's just craft paper, basically, with like a glass of crayons on everybody's table, which is encouraged for, the restaurant goers to just draw. So, I was thinking that you were going to like use my markers I had brought all the stuff. And then we were like, no, we're at this restaurant. So you just got crayon and you just started drawing like wings and legs for the hungry artist. And it was like, whoa, just like that. And then I folded it up, I put it in my bag, and I was like, this is the art for it, which was so amazing. And we're going to launch that on August 2nd for the live auction, which is so exciting.
Cool.
And I feel
like that's what makes what you're doing so interesting, because you could do like what you're doing now. Like you could just keep this, like, let's go have some dinner, gonna bring some artwork, some papers and stuff. Let's just talk, and I want you to sketch while we're here. And that's going to be this moment. That's what's so exciting about this new NFT world. It's like, it's not just about like a token or something that you can get online. You can have a piece of something that could be slightly historical for you. Collect that moment. Like you can have a favorite artist or something that, I've heard podcasts before that have changed the way that I've lived for a couple of months or a year. Like there's these moments of inspiration that can send you on paths, and you're doing something that facilitates a channel for that. And I think it's really, really important for artists like this. And the fact that you're doing something to give back, like we were saying, it's a service business that we do. And how you can do this, and like the more you go out and do these things and have these collections and just kind of keep giving back, that's what's so dope about this NFT world. The fact that like, it can change the world. Like I know that we're living in a pretty wild time right now, but where Web3 is coming from, what NFTs are like, what they really represent, and what youth are, not just young people, but people who have young minds, how they see it. It's like, I'm a little worried about the world, but then you think about these people who are thinking really fast, and they're like, wait, we're going to take care of this. Like the young people, the people with the young minds, they'll get this thing right.
Yeah, I agree. Like I was going to ask you that exact question of like what you think about NFTs and Web3, and you pretty much just answered it right now, and I do think Web3 is great for musicians and for artists and for people to have true ownership of their work if they want to put it on the blockchain and share it in that way. Yeah,
you have, because there are people who are just, I toured with this artist, Lindsay Sterling, YouTube, and she's like, she got a break off of YouTube. She went through the hell of like The Voice and like America's Got Talent. She just plugged away. And to me, she should be the world's, like, people should use her as a role model for young women, because she owns her business. She writes her songs. She does all this. And I think for somebody like her who really knows, or somebody like, I imagine what Prince, if he were still here, what he would do in a space like this, like, oh my God, the music, the art, the whole experience that you could give somebody. Because she'll, like, for her live show, for her audience, she will create these insane like backdrops and 3D things, and a moment for these people to have a real experience. And now to be able to do this, like, I'm going to put on like an Oculus and go and look at my collection of stuff. Like I've got this world that I can escape to that is infinite. It's kind of like looking at what this new pictures of these telescopes, and you see the infinite, what infinite actually looks like. It's kind of what can happen inside this Web3 world too. It is that large.
So you're open to it, like putting your music on the blockchain and all of that.
100%. I'm just trying right now. I'm really trying to gauge the smartest thing. I guess the one good thing about being an older artist is that I've definitely made a lot of mistakes. And so right now I'm just feeling really measured, like going to the conference, like we were all down in Austin, and doing the thing with Dippies and getting to hang out with those kids and all the people behind that, and really seeing their enthusiasm. And then just seeing like what the possibilities are. Like there's record labels that are now like just doing full distribution. Like Diplo put out a song through a couple of different people now. I know that Snoop Dogg re-released like a Dippy's thing, like a song that he did that's an NFT. I think that I'm just kind of watching for a change instead of like going out and making a bunch of mistakes. Like what is going to be the safest, best way to do this? And then I think in a lot of ways, somebody's going to do it way better than me. And so there's got to be ways that I contribute to somebody who's doing something better and smarter. I think I serve a better purpose in being like, okay, how can I help? Because I will never do the legwork that you've done. Like I just don't have I
Right,
won't do
right.
it. I
But
just, I'm
you just
lazy
blending
and
your talent and your song, and to have a theme song or like a Hungry Artist song titled Hungry. And it's so amazing how you changed it so much than the original inspiration. It's almost like this dance mix that has a retro vibe, and you just hit it on the nail. And to be able to have like a piece of that song embedded on all the Exquisite Collabs NFTs,
yeah,
that's art right there. And like
yeah,
what you've done is you are in the Web3 space now. So
yeah,
thank
it's
you for being
cool.
part of it. Yeah.
Dude, it's magic. I just think
Yeah.
it's, just going with the flow
Yeah.
and just kind of recognizing where my space is. I would love to be able to be that kind of creative where, like, I mean, you are looking to me where your role is. It seems more like you're almost a movie producer where you've created this whole space and you got to know how to dress the room, what the music is for this room, what this artist is going to do here, what the actor is, how this stuff moves. I could never put something together that complex.
Right. Everyone has
You
like kind
know?
of different like skill sets and what they like to do. It's
Yeah.
interesting because for me, I love to create art. And after I started Hungry Artist, I haven't created my personal art for a while because
Yeah, of
it's like
course
you
not.
have so many other things you're trying to
But the
do,
whole
building this world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that whole world is a piece of art. That's what's so
Yeah. Yeah.
fascinating. You're creating like a new
Yeah.
thing, like that. The fact that you're collaborating in that whole, that's why I see it kind of like a whole movie or universe you're creating. And in that universe, you're creating one massive piece of art. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
can't exist. It's kind of that whole like internally you're a god and you're creating the universe,
Yeah, yeah. That's so funny you say that because the guy who's helping me with some like mailers and kind of like marketing, he was like, you have to think of yourself as the Oz and like it's like the Wizard of Oz and you're the Oz. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that's a good way of thinking of it. Like
you
even
are
if
that
it's
person
just
behind the
behind the
curtain.
scenes, you're
Yeah,
making art happen in a different way. So I'm
yeah,
glad that somebody sees that and is like, this is cool because
dude.
sometimes I'm like, why am I working so hard on this? But I'm building for the bigger picture. And for
Because you,
you, someone
because
like you
you can
see that. Thank you.
you can see the bigger picture. You know how to see what's on the others. Like for me, I've never been able, like, I'm so fascinated with people who work and have the ability to see the end, like what you can on such a large level. Like
Mhm.
how, and that's where something like stacks, the idea,
Yeah.
like, oh, this is so smart. You're using
Yeah.
stacks in here, like, and to understand, like, wait, this is like Legos, and
Right.
like you really starting to see how
Yeah.
this stuff compacts and works together. It's so cool. But
Yeah.
to understand it without other people doing it, I would never be able to keep up with
Right.
it.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah, and just hopefully this trailblazing, even with this bear market, like hopefully like people see it because in the end, I'm like, I'm not sure, but it's cool and I feel it. So I'm just gonna go with it. But
Yeah,
for
man. Just,
somebody like you, Chad, I have to say your gift and your talent of like having a voice of an angel is very rare. And then to be able to create a song just off the fly with somebody's inspiration, I think you're probably one out of a million people that can do that. Like
oh, that's cool.
I can't believe that I said something out loud of an idea and that there was somebody in this universe or a planet that's like, oh, sure, I can do it with such effortless ease. That's pretty amazing. So
I'm glad
kudos
you
to
like it,
that.
man. That really makes me feel
Yeah.
good because I'm
Yeah.
always like, hey, I don't know. This is just kind of what I do.
Yeah.
And I never know if it has, like, it's interesting. This past year has taught me, the last 2 years has taught me more than I've ever learned in my entire life because I was always, because artists are so shunned.
Yeah.
And not all, but for the majority of us who are constantly having to fight, you're like coming from a space where you have to like understand the worthiness of what you do and kind of accept it. And for the most part, I did. And like I really just pushed down like what my talent was or what my skill set, and not even that talent, it's a skill set.
Mhm.
And I just pushed it down because I was made to feel so mediocre. Like this is just such a waste of time. Even whenever I was doing really well, it was like, well, you're not really doing anything. And then this past year, it's like, wait, all these people, like it was good for them. Like I actually did good work for other people. And, there's a reward for that. And to be able to just be like, oh, wait, this is a good thing. Like, and it's hard. I mean, being an artist, like we said in the beginning, is it's so hard. And you're providing a platform for people that is, what the future could be. And the fact that you're like risking that, it's
Right.
huge, dude.
Yeah. I guess
So
with
cool.
modern day artists too, it's like we can maybe see like our art being changing people's lives, I guess, versus like somebody in the past, like they died without even knowing that their art was appreciated, or who knew that they would be celebrated so much as like these amazing artists and icons. So I think modern day has changed that. And I think it's great that artists can see that. For you to be able to see how much your song has changed somebody's lives, like that's amazing that we can see that in our lifetime.
Yeah, in real time. And for art, like visual artists, I talked to someone who was a director of animation for some Netflix projects and some other really large pieces of kind of film history and things that iconic pieces of, like, you know, commercial art that we see that are in television shows. And they had the same thing. Somebody came to them and was like, okay, I'm looking for a guy that's green who has a spear and his special magical power is he can shoot ice out of his feet, whatever. And they create this thing and it makes billions of dollars and they never had any ownership of it. They're like, once it's done, it's a work for hire. But for songwriters, it was always like you always owned, there was some intellectual property value in that. And now for real, like visual artists, for you guys to finally get like, no, I made, that's my work. I'm keeping that for life. I'm going to give that to my kid because he has, or she has, or they have the right to whatever this is, because this is wealth and it should be shared. Like, and it's finally there. Like, it's so cool. I mean, the bear market does make it a little complicated right now, but ultimately it's like, wait, no, you can't have a Marvel comic anymore without the people who are actually illustrating this thing owning a piece of what they've created.
And I think that's why I'm so passionate about this space too, because I see what it can do for artists. And it's a new day and it's a digital renaissance. And I feel like artists should embrace it. Although there's so many artists that are kind of scared of it or like don't understand it yet. But I think over time, as the tech gets better and the tools get better and the platforms get better, I think it's going to be Web3 will have mass adoption. So we'll see if that happens, but we're early and it's kind of fun just playing and then creating cool stuff.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, the thing is going to melt. It has to. There's always that thing where, like, at some point the volcano is going to come, burn the whole city down, and the one thing that survive. It's all right. This is nature, man.
Right, that's true. Lastly, I just want to ask, like, what are you currently working on, and where can everyone find you?
Currently, I am just like, to be 100% honest, I am just kind of writing some songs. Nothing too, not pressing anything too hard. I'm trying to find like good projects to work on where I can go and play songs, and in the process of going and playing songs, we raise money for wherever we are. We just did this really great thing that was for this organization in Hawaii where we got to play on a sailboat and raise some money for scholarships for kids that like they want to keep the cultural foundations together for all the things that kind of what naturally is Hawaii, like the dance, the storytelling, like, and so with this organization, we were able to raise money for scholarships for that, trying to do more stuff like that. Not really being too aggressive with like trying to put out another record. It's like I said, I'm just kind of getting out of the way and letting cool things come, and they just keep coming. There's a possibility of some more movie songs, and the fact that this record went platinum again has just got me in a state of like, you know?
Let the opportunities come to you. That's amazing.
I'm in a really, really fortunate place. I mean, I've been in places before where I have been like literally like going to the back of Ralph's and buying things off the back of the shelves and living out of my car, but still keeping a matter, like knowing it's going to get better somehow, somewhere. The sunshine will come. So I've definitely experienced that. So now that I'm on this side of like a little bit of ease, I'm just sitting like working, but really enjoying the in between. Like,
and it probably tastes so much sweeter, and you understand it so much more since you felt those rock bottoms. When you're here, you know how to like be grateful for the moment, and I think that's important.
Oh man, I am so, there's like moments where I just laugh out loud. I think people, I mean, I already look like this, so people probably think I'm slightly like either verging on becoming like a gold miner or just a crazy person.
But that's the trend.
I just randomly laugh. I'll be somewhere and just like, ah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. You've been through it all, and that makes you that much more like experienced and like
Yeah.
have those layers. Like it's really like now you can sit back and really appreciate all of the
Oh
highs and
man.
lows. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm still working with my kids. I got a lot of kids that I teach, and they're teaching me so much all the time. Like I don't think I'll ever. At one point in time, I was kind of like becoming a teacher was not something I was necessarily like ecstatic about. But then after I started teaching kids and teaching adults, that came back and was just like, holy crap, this is so rewarding. I don't know, this is great. Like, and I get to teach music to people all the time now. So I'm just kind of hanging with that, letting things come through. They can, I got a TikTok channel. It's Carolina Liar.
Oh, nice.
I've got the Instagram. It's the Carolina Liar. And I just keep posting stuff up there. I don't have a website or anything anymore. Does anybody really use websites?
I know, it's interesting. I feel like you should always like have one, but then I'm like, do people even check it? And then I feel like with this NFT space, Twitter is huge.
Yeah, Twitter is massive. I still have my
Yeah.
Twitter account. That's there. I just kind of like read it to see like, 'cause,
Right.
man, you get so much insight on the Twitter thing. I never imagined Twitter being what it's become now. It's so
Yeah.
fascinating,
Yeah.
right?
And I feel like now it's kind of swallowed Clubhouse because it has that same
Oh yeah,
function where you do the Twitter
the
spaces, and
lives and
Twitter
everything. Yeah,
spaces is really like an amazing tool and platform for people to connect externally and just like hit a different kind of audience. So I think it's important to use it. I don't use it enough, but
yeah.
where can people find you on Twitter? Is it also
Just the Carolina Lair. Yeah,
perfect? Okay, fantastic.
yeah, I
Oh
know,
my God,
huh?
this is such a great talk, and
This
it's
is
so nice
beautiful,
to
man.
always, yeah, having you. And then the other thing is we're gonna have another talk, but this will be in real life. That's
Yeah,
August 3rd at the Deviant Art headquarters. It's gonna be an
yeah.
amazing event, and
That's
you're
so
one of the
cool.
panelists, yeah, which is
Yeah,
exciting. So
my
yeah,
buddy, my buddy started that company years ago. He started,
wow.
yeah, he
And
started
they sold
Deviant
to
Art.
Wix, I heard. They sold to
Huh?
Wix. And so
Yeah,
the headquarters is, I think, the Wix Deviant Art kind of like office space.
dude,
Beautiful.
fun.
Great
Yeah,
location, got a view of the Hollywood sign. And I feel like that event bringing like, we're just working with like awesome people.
yeah.
So I think it's going to be really nice.
So
And for
cool. I'm
people
so
to hear
happy for you for
you
that.
and your story in real life during the panel talk, and it's just
Yeah,
about how artists are showing up for like, for the culture. And this is
sure.
what we're doing. We're just creating art for the culture. And then if it hits, it's great. If it doesn't, we're just
So
creating.
cool.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's just we got to do the legwork, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
right on.
Amazing. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you August
Dude.
3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Bye, Chad. Thanks.
Bye.